Welcome everyone to New York Comic Con. I'm Rachel Caswell, Director of Communications at Mythical, where we're working on an upcoming multiplayer open world game called Blankos Block Party. In our game, you can collect, level up, and play custom created games with your friends using digital vinyl toys come to life called Blankos. Many of our Blankos are designed by some incredible artists, including the three we have today. Let's start off with some introductions.
Hi, I'm James Groman, and have been a toy designer for many, many years. Worked at Hasbro and a number of other companies working on lots of big brands and stuff, but recently have gotten a little bit more involved in the designer vinyl toy industry and have done some toys like King Corpse and Rotten Rex, Kaiju Killer, as well as a number of things for Kid Robot and Super Plastic and some other companies.
My name is Pete Fowler. I'm an artist, illustrator and toy designer from Wales. I've been designing toys since around 2000 when I started in Japan with Sony Creative Products and made various toys with various companies. I'm currently designing toys for Super Plastic.
I started working as a comic artist and illustrator first. And then I started designing toys. I also do gallery shows, do paintings, and I've been working as toy artist as well. Like the other two, I've worked with Kid Robot and Super Plastic.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for being here. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time all of you have made your way into the video game space. What was your interest in working in this medium?
I have done some work on game apps. It's more like 2D design, like 2D art. But this is the first time I've actually done like a full-blown video game in like 3D design characters. I was very interested because I also am a teacher and I had never designed video games, and a lot of my students are very, very much interested in video games. So it kind of gives me some street cred with them. And it also gave me the opportunity to have my work alongside some artists that I really admire that are all part of the same game. So I'm very excited about the whole situation and starting to see the characters actually moving around within this amazing world that's been created. It's just I can't wait to see the public response once it is released.
I've worked on animation before. So I've seen my characters come to life, and as I mentioned, I've worked on toys before. But I think people being able to play one of my characters in a game and moving around is really exciting. And also, as James said, the whole concept of this game is really exciting. So and also loving to see people's reactions to it. The initial reactions to the characters, I think, has been really cool to see on social media, and people seem to be getting really excited about that. So yeah, it's great to finally be involved in a video game.
While I was designing the Blankos, it was very similar to the process of designing designer toys. But when I saw the character actually move in, I was really excited. It's different.
So is there a different impact you feel your art has when it takes a physical form versus 2D?
So for me, designing characters and making paintings and illustration was great, but I just wanted to go that extra step to have these characters like physically exist in a space. The fact that these these characters are moving and they're playing games within a whole playable world. So I think doing actual designer toys and sculpture really laid in some groundwork. So it wasn't like a huge jump for me.
Yeah, actually, I started in the toy industry as an illustrator, where you're pretty much worried about making a really nice design that is seen from a specific angle, and then later on kind of started sculpting my own work. And I'm all about details. I love throwing details in that you can actually read my characters like a book, see little things, and kind of get an idea of the story. So it's definitely it's more impactful because you are able to look at these characters from multiple angles. And the key challenge for a designer is to making them look as interesting as possible from all those different angles. And the interesting thing about as I started to work on the characters for Blankos, I started to realize that as cool as I made the fronts of them look, most of the time you're looking at the backs of them while you're playing that character. So I started to add little details that would be kind of humorous or show some kind of aspect of the character's personality, even on their backside. So it's definitely come into play on this particular game, is making sure that these characters work in the round.
You know, when the 2D character becomes 3D, it has, you know, they get more real, and you can, how do you say, you can empathize more. Also, when it becomes 3D, it has more, like, it has stronger impact, I think.
So on that note, what are some of the differences and considerations you need to make between designing a piece of art in 2D versus 3D physical, and then even digitally in a game like Blankos?
With the toy design, I'll really look at every aspect, and as James said, it's like cool to put in little details in here and there, and sometimes the things you don't even see. If you like, say if you moved a character's arm up, there'd be something here or on the sole of the feet. I guess the difference between making a designer toy and a playable character in a game, there are certain restrictions with manufacturing with the toy. Things have changed now, and there are a lot more detail you can add in there, and production's got better and better. But I think there's things you can do with a digital character that you can't really do with the actual 3D object.
And I want to riff off something that Junko said, was talking about. This is very similar. The way we mapped our illustrative work onto these figures is very similar to what probably you guys have done for Kid Robot or Super Plastic, where we get the basic blank that we work over the top of. And it's challenging. I don't want to get too technical, but the whole idea of creating this UV map that we wrap around the actual figure and figuring out how that art needs to look in order to do that was a really interesting challenge, a lot different than the way I work when I'm sculpting some of my, I do these big 12-inch monster figures where it's all about the scale work and the fur and metals and texture and all this stuff. But it's all there right in front of me, and I'm creating this thing to look like it's a real living creature. But to challenge yourself, and here's the restraints of the game and how the characters are being built for the game, and then applying your art and figuring out how to make it work within the constraints of how the characters are built. I thought that was great. As long as I've been doing it, I always love when a challenge comes along. That's something that you can do that you've never done before, and I think that was one of the things I had to kind of approach this differently than I've done with some of my big 3D sculpts.
What I loved about designing Blankos compared to the actual toys was that I could use any colors. For when you are designing the actual physical toys, you have to think about the Pantone colors, and you have to think about if the color actually exists or things like that. But I was told for Blanko, I can use any colors you want.
No limitations.
Yeah.
At Mythical, we're building a system where we'll be able to track ownership of a Blanko from player to player as it gets sold, which allows players to participate in and even control the game economy to a level not available in other games. With the same technology, though, we're able to offer our artists a royalty on any transaction involving their creations. So as an artist, you likely rarely know what happens to your art after initial sale, let alone get an ongoing commission. So what does this concept mean to you?
I've been involved in a number of things that have involved royalties, like toy figures or printed material, and I think it's a really like an artist and company focused thing where you're enjoying the benefits of that and the system that is set up to do that. It's sometimes tough to sort of to manage all these products and make sure someone's accounted to, if you see what I mean. And I think this is a really fun way of doing it. And I think the whole idea of sort of buying and selling within the game is not only a playable thing, but also a collectible aspect that really looks in favor of the artist. So yeah, and it's a great precedent to set.
Yeah, what's cool about it is also that as I've talked to everyone at Mythical Games, and you start to realize as playtesting begins, you're starting to realize what characters people are responding to and the ones that they like to play with. That's really exciting to me too, because all of a sudden it's like you start to see certain things happening and certain characters really compelling the players, and they're the ones that become most popular.
Where do you turn for inspiration?
I get asked this question all the time, but it's hard because I get inspirations from almost everything. When you're watching TV or walking around in the neighborhood, and when you find a weird sign or some weird things in the store windows, or sometimes I take photos, or when I'm looking at Instagram, and you see photos and it becomes an idea too. So I can only say I get inspiration all the time from everything around me.
Even the most of the characters that I designed for Blankos, they're like, it's kind of like my inspirations are all there for everyone to see, because there's a character that's pretty much based on comic books. I used a palette that I use normally for comic books, and his name's King Kirby, and one of the most famous comic book artists of all time was a guy named Jack Kirby. So he's kind of based on that. And I have a B-movie character because I love old movies. I love monster movies. I love classic movies and stuff. So I had to get in that in there somewhere. And sometimes it's just like I have a dinosaur character, and it's like, what is something I haven't seen overdone as far as character design for a dinosaur? So I put him in a business suit. And how does that make sense? And how do I make sense of it? And what's his backstory? So yeah, all my inspirations, they're very apparent in most of my work.
I think my answer is kind of similar to Junko's, really, just things that I see around me. London's a very multicultural, diverse city, so there's a lot of things I pick up on there, from there, people's clothes, or hearing what people say. Yeah, I've been asked that so many times, and I think I've said once before, living on planet Earth. It's a sort of broader answer.
If you could tell your fans one thing about Blankos, what would it be?
Just have fun. Yeah, I can't wait to play the game.
Yeah, same here. I kind of want to have people to have fun playing the game with other people, and bring a little joy and colour and vibrancy and fun into this world that's a little bit dark at the moment.
Thank you, everyone, for joining our panel, and thank you to the viewers for watching. Hope everybody enjoys New York Comic Con. If you're interested in Blankos, we are going into a closed beta later this month, and you can buy Founders Packs with some really cool exclusive Blankos and other items in them on blankos.com.